Welcome to our lovely future humans and our 5D collective, to those who get to be nervous system sovereign people. So being yourself, self-sovereign, we all are going to continue as the years move forward to talk about a little bit of this and a little bit of that. The low emotional intelligence 3D 4D collective, and they're not really intelligent at all, but there's words that I use at times so that you can understand. Low emotional intelligence means they do not have nervous system sovereignty, so they don't know how to regulate in their social engagement system, which is why they don't even have self-sovereignty. So they're manipulable, like the shorts that I shared today with that, which is conspiracies, good versus evil stories. They're also reactive. They're also always going to be immature unless they choose to get to good therapy. And no, kids are not over coddled. They are emotionally immature due to the lack of self-regulation skills, because they're dysregulated, because they did not have safety at home to be their 0 8-year-old. So when I hear the word in and of itself over coddled, and the people of now talking about the younger generation, it's like, yeah, you are one of the red flags. Pretty straightforward, like anybody who's holding on to relationships that don't work, of people who could use Patrick Tam, a good therapist for the cowards out there. No, the cowards don't go to a good therapist. They say cowards, and then they talk about emotions as if we're made weak. So the word over coddled tells me you don't like coddling, which is not nice for a child. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so emotionally intelligent human beings, on the other hand, learn about the left and the right and how they work together. So intelligence is only when we have a emotionally intelligent person. At IHP, it's all about inspiring human potential, and God's gift is each of us as our unique self, in the absence of owning self-sovereignty, therefore in the absence of being able to self-regulate, bilateral, vertical, overall. You're going to be a moron to Maria and to anybody else who knows what a moron is, and it's not an evil monster, it's an ignorant one. Anger, vengeance, revenge, spitefulness, low self-esteem, and direct communication, passive aggressive, which is why they're not intelligent, but we will allow them to have the floor, like my facade friend, and laugh at ego. No, we don't laugh at ego, we laugh together, because that's how it is. Ego doesn't notice itself. And that's because there's an immediate story that they say, I'm doing great. And if they don't like how we're interacting, that's the moron in the face of me. Stuff like that. Okay, so manipulation. People like, you can be manipulated. I'm going to be able to be manipulated by, yes, I know who. And that's how it works when you own self. But you always learn from smart experts. And then you consistently, as you grow older, I'm 45, I consistently am still learning how to discern when I'm hearing pseudo-intellectuals. I'm pseudoscience because I know who true and good scientists are. When I say true and good, it's all the conciliant approach. The other ones are intelligent intellectually, and we thank them for their service. They're not going to do amazing things in life. They're going to do a very small handful of things in life, and the ones who do the big things in life are going to be able to use those pebbles. And that's because that's the difference between intelligence. I told you I would share a little bit about Orion. Yes, good warriors. Do you know what a good warrior is? Not the fighting kind. That's not a good warrior. Smoke and mirrors and a bunch of bullshit. So people who are hooked on drama and good and evil, they actively are distorting their very own existence with conspiracy and narratives that I see everywhere. I'm going to make fun of Wendy, Peter Pan, Pinocchio. It's called Adaptive Child Part People for Maria. It's adaptive child because they're adapting. No, they adapted to protect their core wound. Like my facade friend, they're a moron once they become a grown human being, and by the time I was a teenager, I noticed these morons. So pause and rest assured, I'm here for people who are being their true self, who want to be more emotionally intelligent. Therefore, you love emotions. If there's one opportunity you got, is self-awareness, accountability, regulation. I mean, your ordinary life ain't so ordinary, and secure attachment is not boring. Ventral energy is enriching. The ones who won't ever know it, they can know it. They first need to heal themselves. They don't have to. Nobody's going to make anybody believe that word. He's proving it. It's not about belief. The smart, conciliant approach, human beings who care about what they do, they know all about your perfection, God's perfection, and your human body. It's restored embodiment and resilience. It's not with the mind. It's the body first, then the mind. Some people, before they can even move out of modulated embodiment, need talk therapy. Then they move to being able to harness the nervous system. And those who don't believe it, who are of our scientific community, they're only not pseudoscience because they're not me, a mystic, but they're a pseudo-intellectual who is giving you a little closed box and who is doing it on purpose, not to manipulate you. But you better bet someone who's smart is going to say, the pseudo-intellectual doesn't know everything, and they're actually breaking it down. And so that's where it's not for me to do. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just here for the ones who want personal growth and spiritual growth practices, journal prompts, mindfulness, very simple mentor podcast host. We talk about stuff that integrated brain people enjoy doing, and as mystics we channel and download. We're in communion with God and Source and Akash. We know everything's going to be fine because that's how it works. We're all divine feminines, and we all therefore have our own divine masculine, which is why we have, like the Passion of Christ, the Holy Spirit, God, Trinity. Yes, I'm very sad to say that the ones who are betrayers are the same ones who don't know what year it is. And so they don't know how to have the right brain laughing, the left brain while it speaks. Like my left brain, I don't want to do the diet. We're doing the diet. I want to do the diet. Are you really going to want to control? You want to, left wants to control. That's its safety thing. But because right and left work on an integrated brain, it's I got intrigued. I was like, we're doing the diet. It's for our physical health. And anybody who loves us is going to support us to do physical health because we want to grow old and healthy. Stop making up stories. I know you're scared of losing, So it gets easier and easier because courage, strength, it really isn't big girls. They do cry. You know what I mean? It's called curiosity, open-ended reflection. So your body first and your mind is always part of the embodied brain. But the point is you don't suppress, you self-regulate. And that's because you got a child-centric environment or you got to reparent yourself. The ones who didn't do any of it, I'm going to give you my facade friend in a minute. So I want to read to you page 6, only a little part. Don't be too harsh on the neurologists of the day. Way back when they created the left and right myth. They didn't propagate the left-right myth. The press did, like the press continues to do. So they will wield titles on purpose of very good information, and guess who's the morons who don't bother to get educated? And you see, I love learning. I was in high school, Friday evening, I asked a question because our teacher said, does anybody have questions? Do we have homework? Boo! I didn't give two shits. I still don't. I am a human being who loves learning, and anytime I think of morons, I think of high school. Then I got busy with life. When I realized how many morons I still have as grown-ups, now I know attachment trauma education. I'm not fond of insecure human beings who are adaptive child part people because you can't actually have any kind of intellectually interesting, in-depth conversation. They will get reactive. They will begin talking over you while I do interject to talk. I really try to do it because I'm having a fun time, but then I notice that I have to take it back a notch because some people think I'm trying to, so we learn how to work to bring interaction, conversation, have fun, understand people getting defensive. That's where you leave it alone. Once you spot, like my facade friend, that they don't know how to play and have a good time talking, you just, okay, never mind. We won't try to have intellectually interesting, in-depth conversations. So the people, yes, who sound like sticks up their asses, pseudo-intellectuals. They're very boring to those of us who are pseudoscience, but actual intellectuals and love scientists and love spiritual knowledge as well in stories, which is why I shared with you the one story of Sadhguru with the king in the castle. I might do that again. And if you're new, this is how I do things. It's a little story. You need to wait till the end. There's no point I'm trying to prove except for low emotion intelligence people, because they don't have nervous system sovereignty, because they don't have self-sovereignty, they are manipulable like the back of their hand. And they're clowns and buffoons, yet they think they're brilliant. And my facade friend is proof of this, and he's not the only facade friend. And there's also facade female friends. The adaptive child part is a moron. They're all the teenagers that I looked at. I'm like, yeah, I ain't copying any of you. I learned what not to do. Copy, cowards. I don't copy you. It's called peer pressure, and we all fell for it. But really, did we fall for it? No, we were picking our next style of parenting crew, and then I learned, all the cowards, when you're down and troubled and you need some, yes, so that word, friends, all words, really, I'll spot coward or not coward. And that's the way the brain is going to remember. Remember, if they're not a coward, awesome, you're going to be at ease. If they're a coward, you're going to remember they're a coward, and then you're going to let the weak one do its thing so that they can get all of it out their chest and then be happy. And then you can continue to move on to meet more of the emotionally intelligent people who are not cowards. So being afraid to be yourself is what I'm talking about. I don't do let me tell someone who's wearing a mask, like my facade friend, you have core wounds, rejection, abandonment, all of it. Your past is living through you. Your reactivity is beyond a bejesus of me. You're still using ancient history books right now, and I'm already past. Like, okay, I need to move forward. This is why divine feminine, she's always feeling slowed down by masculines. It's not a she as in a woman. It's, oh my God, seriously, your biases and your projection. So you just need to silence it because you're not even having a conversation. And that's the right being judgmental. But once you've learned how not to cast a stone because your left is an idiot like the left of another one, you're like, okay, I can do it too. Let me breathe. And there you go. And that's how easy it is to recalibrate. And so you self-regulate without other people when you have had a co-regulating, safe, emotionally speaking, child codependent life. I got a twin and a mom who let me do all the things I still do, and I spoiled my little sister. So just saying, there's a child here. She's never going to die. And anybody who's ever tried to, yeah, you can't kill me. Physically, yeah, but no, you can't kill my heart. You can't make me mistrust people. I will say, if they are to be mistrusted, it's because they're cowards, which makes me feel sad for them because it means they're weak, which means their heart was broken, which means they need a therapist. They don't want therapy. I'm not going to be able to be rude and point it out to them. So I feel sad, but then I accept because God gives them the free will opportunity to become the best version of themselves. But some are unhealthy B gamers. They're mediocre, Dan Martell. They're not dangerous. They're just mediocre people. Seriously. Yeah, A gamers don't do let me copy the B gamers, you see? So emotionally intelligent people, they're going to be back here. The ones who don't actually want it, they're just going to make fun of us or pretend to be here. Then they're going to be upset that we forgive all people. As we don't do, I forgave. We do, wow, we're all fucked up. No, we all can make mistakes. I'm not going to hold it over your head that you made a mistake. Et tu, Brute? So when somebody thinks that we actually still have backstabbers, like a teenager version of themselves, you always notice. You know why? I was a kid too. I remember. Open, close, open, close. Keep that heart open. I'm saying love. I'm using the word. I ain't going to close my heart because I got a bunch of cowards out there. No, I'm going to stay open-hearted. They obviously weren't taught what integrity means. They obviously were not taught God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. They obviously were not taught manners. To this day, anyone who is not with integrity and humility is, in my word, a person who doesn't understand what it means to be a human. That we all want to be welcomed, accepted, which is seen, soothed, safe, secure, and that means welcomed as we are. But guess what happens when you meet immature, reactive morons? Because that's all they are to me. It doesn't matter how, if they're working with a therapist, they're not going to be reactive. They're going to become a functional adult, and then they're going to become a functional child adult. If they're reactive, they're just going to bring their stupid stories and think they know everything. And you know why it's stupid? Because I'm not going to go anywhere. I just need to let you talk it out. It's not trauma dumping. You're convinced of a magical good evil story, and you don't even realize that to a person who is in communion with God, who is spiritual, who also is scientific, meaning I know what science proves. You can't prove shit. Stop using the word belief in this way. You're either believing because you're spiritual. There's all the books. We don't need to be making it into big saga. We can exchange stories because none of it is truer than another thing, but science is proving what restorative embodiment is, and the whole equipe are helping all humans who want their A game to be that. So anybody who wants their B game goes and have fun entertaining each other with bullshit stories and trending topics and Peter Pans. Lost boys following each other around like morons are, which is why, as he says again, don't be too harsh on the neurologist. It's the press that made the left-right brain myth. Yeah, I still see it online, which is what pisses me off. It's like, you talk about misinformation, yet we got bullshit press people wielding their mouths in ways that have people believing in conspiracies, talking about conspiracies. So some of us are going to say intelligence means you can spot that which is bullshit, and you know where academics are. And then you know that they all work together, and that the ones who make it sound like they know everything and then they exclude their colleagues, yeah, sure, whatever. You're in your ego. You obviously are a grandiose asshole who doesn't know that you share a floor with a bunch of more people. Be ordinary. Stop. Don't own the floor. You're not the best at anything. Everybody can be the best at something. You're not the best at owning all knowledge. And I'm very passionate about learning, but yeah, people are not passionate about learning, so they believe words that come from press, and no, that's not to press makes up bullshit sentences. Stereotypes, generalizations are for emotionally immature people who don't have what it takes. Oh, they could have what it takes to get strong. Stop thinking that grit means beating each other up, and start learning that grit means open-heartedly crying, being angry in a healthy way, and then knowing we all are kids who don't want to be rejected. No matter how old you are, you're always going to want to have somewhere to call home. The ones who don't want it with their body, they're going to go to the morons who are like Ursula from the Cauldron, give up their voice like Ariel and become seaweed, and there you go. That's why I use new stories. It's not impressive. It's not a monster. It's just poor, unfortunate souls. So sad, but true. That one wanted to be pretty. That one wanted it to girl, do I? I don't help them, though I don't, which is why I'm a facade friend. Maria, seems like you think you know what the right answer is. I do. It's called love and being brave, not a coward like you and the other men of you who don't text people back and think that it's normal. Oh, I'm sorry that you're not being assholes like I'm being right now, a bitch, telling it right to your face, because I'd rather be a cold fucking bitch than be a coward who's walking away, making up bullshit, and then calling what, us whack jobs? Sure, I'm a whack job. Do you want to see crazy? I'll show you crazy. And you don't get crazy in the way of crazy. But this is the point of, from a woman's perspective, I look forward to seeing more emotionally mature women and men say, this is bullshit, all of it. Like, seriously, how many years does it take before people understand? When you see on TV, I don't know why they haven't, no, I do know why they don't introduce securely attached, emotionally mature people. Apparently, there's drama kings and drama queens are hooked on this shit. And then apparently some people think entertainment needs to be that. I'm like, that's not, and I mean, sure, I can laugh at morons, but I'd rather laugh at morons with it. Good example too, so that we can, allow kids to learn the right way to do life. But if they're not going to do it in the TV industry, I guess I get to entertain so that some people can figure it out. Because if you're mature, you're knowing that men and women and theys, it's not about genders or stereotypes. And the press, when they're doing this, using words in ways, it's really not awesome at all for smart people. It's annoying and irritating to notice how they wield these titles in ways that just create a bunch of people who just read the title and then my scientist said this, my scientist, sure, whatever, you know what. So 2 ingredients go into misinformation. First, people overreact, yes, because they're emotionally immature, and it's one certain assumption you can make about human behavior. No, not all. If you are emotionally intelligent, mature, and you're learning, you're not going to be overreactive because you're wanting to continue personal spiritual growth. Now, that's for people who bring their A game, you see? Your perfection healthily, you're not going to overreact because you're aware of your emotions and you master them and you mature them and you play with that which is called the neuroplastic agent and the emotional depth of you, and you participate as a conscious being, humanly speaking, with your personality patterns, your temperament, and securely attached. It is amazing the fulfillment that comes from being your own piece of Purusha, the masculine, Prakriti, the feminine. That's Shiva, that's Shakti. So the words that I see being used in our spiritual community, they equal a person who uses left and right brain. That equals, to me, the empowered divine masculine. You are self-regulating your social engagement system. You know what your nervous system does. There's your empowered feminine. Twin flame or flames don't throw a curveball to a person who's a divine feminine in the way that you've seen all these 4D'ers talk about. You know what curveball they throw? It's basically God did good, kept me far, far, far away from all of them. Because the minute that I understood what a twin flame was, I thought that they would be like me, as they are part of me. I guess what a badass thinks of emotions. They're not scary. You're not a badass if you don't know how to face your own emotions. You can't be in a corner in front of me with your tears, then you don't know how to be emotional. You don't know how to be vulnerable. That means you're not strong. You see what I'm saying? So people who think it's shameful or scary or whatever it is to be in a corner crying, you don't know what it is to be a human, scared of the darkness. You're not capable of being the actual vulnerability that would make you strong. Because that's the moment of you're not fragile if you realize what sadness and crying and being vulnerable is. It's that healthy fear. Once you're free from it, it's like, okay, it's not scary. Because you get out of this bullshit, I'm going to fight it. That's not actually being vulnerable. You're just faking it. So yes, being able to be completely full on in any of those raw emotions without thinking of it as a battle. The story with the sword and the betraying is a bullshit story for people who don't know how to just be. Sometimes it's just pure sadness, and it's not something you're like, let me say, that's called pseudo-aliveness. I've seen it so many times now. I'm like, oh my God, these people, they really don't have nervous system sovereignty. It must be true. I do come from the future. One of my first downloads, because I'm logical. I'm grounded in reality. I know that my mysticism all comes from the imagination sphere, meaning I'm tapping into it. I don't have proof for it. So it's like, well, I'm having the experience. I believe in God. I believe in stuff. Yeah, but science doesn't. They think there's an explanation. I don't agree with the fact that we're in a machine, by the way. That's the left brain. It needs a beginning and an end. The left brain can't handle darkness. I'm an expert yogi. even without knowing the word until I learned of the word. I'm basically in the Enlightenment Soul Age group too. So these words mean something, but they're like, we don't weigh words like, oh my God. You don't put them on pedestal. You put nothing on a pedestal. You just know that we need the left words to speak, convey. But yeah, that's the part of why it's like the ones who don't like us. My facade friend, you're a hypocrite. No, I'm not. Yeah, you are. Why? What? Wait. No. Why am I a hypocrite? Because you say this and that are true. Yes, actually, that is true. Because I use two sides of my brain, and I can do 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s and 6s, and I don't get lost in my conversation. And none of you will either if you're still here, because that's intelligence right here. We're not trying to prove points. We're having a good time. So my facade friend, on the other hand, he's a hypocrite because he doesn't actually do what he says in a way of fulfilling what he wants in life. And in fact, he gave up on himself like any other coward does, which is why I can't disrespect them. God tells me not to. My mom, society, and the therapist above all. Peter Levine informs me what a bird with a broken wing, meaning a human being who's traumatized, who won't want to be near any ventral energy, will do. They're going to go towards a cat in the cave, back away as you're trying to help them because they don't want you, because they're a piece of shit. You see, they were treated like a piece of shit. Humans are unsafe. They're a piece of shit. They didn't like all these different stories. And well, some would say that I'm supposed to allow them to stay with trauma, and I'm like, yeah, I got it. It's very hard, but no, we're going to talk about healing trauma completely the right way. There's some who are going to give those people healing trauma the wrong way, and the ones who are going to fall for that shit again are, well, first, people overreact. It's one certain assumption you can make about him. Second, science progresses through incremental discoveries, one layer of the ignorance onion at a time. Thank you. So yes, it's not a huge paradigm shift, as physicist Thomas Campbell said. It's slow increments of information that leads us to the same perfection that God has made every one of his children in. Intelligence, open-heartedness, forgiveness, not shaming people. Our ancestors shamed each other for reasons. We don't need to look at our ancestors. We're not learning from them anymore. We're learning from today while carrying our ancestors with honor, remembering that they had emotionally not the same capacities as we do today because they lived in a different environment. They lived where it was, I think, 70% animals and 30% humans. Now it's the inverse. The ones who want to crap on humanity, they're basically a threat to our species. The ones who want to crap on animals, they're a threat to our species. The ones who don't really realize what life is made of, again, they are not aware that the lack of visibility comes from their distortion. So when you don't have lack of visibility, because your left brain is a fascinated child and your right brain is an indulgent parent, because your left brain, when it becomes a delusional idiot, you say, okay, come on, and your right brain is a judgmental asshole, okay, come on. So when you work with your left and your right, you don't get manipulated by stories, you don't get manipulated or reactive with conversations. You're a person who will understand what a low emotionally intelligent person is. It's a person who is immature. They don't own their nervous system. They don't own their self, let alone do they assimilate information in a way of being curious, intrigued, and then wanting to present it so that we can support the future generations to grow into amazing human beings. They're wanting to bring their theory of why things are right or wrong. In academia, the reason that academics have stereotypes and generalizations is to continue building data to support. Because, see, the scientists don't have that, which is called the innate knowingness of consciousness. But see, this is also another, I need to bring this in because there's two sides to coin, but realistically speaking, if you're grounded in the ordinary intelligence of being a human, we started with Plato, where he's, in that book, Plato, the cave, whatever, imagination, to what we are today, and really it's the same concept, which is why somebody's like, they're always saying the same things, but they're not. Because while Hippocrates can have said, you tell somebody about health, they'll say they want it, but then they won't want the discipline. Okay, those words are accurate, but now we know what maladaptive patterns of behavior are. Now we know what a window tolerance is. Now we know how to explain to the left brain, here's what you're doing, and here's why, and here's what's happening. And here's where your child parts are, and here's why you can get out of structural dissociation and or maladaptive patterns if you have BPD or NPD. And here's how this is done, and the ones who want it, they own their sense of self and want to share with us their beautiful, ordinary, unique, human, mystic, spiritual, doesn't matter. And that's God's perfection. And here's where dark matter and dark energy come in. So we don't need conspiracies, good and evil stories. The people are grounded in reality. As Sam Harris points out, any of your cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable, automatically done, which is why you don't use the word belief. You don't even use the word truth. And when somebody is describing it to you and explaining to you, they say subjective reality is the truth. And you say, well, just say I like the word facts. And then I know where to go find the facts. And I know that they're building the facts. And then I know that I want the academics who bring it all in. And then I want to know where the consilient ones are because I know they're going to know a bunch of shit. Oh, and I want the ones who care about what they're doing. So much so that instead of going through entrepreneurship, they're going to continue working on things like this and this and this. So we'll be back with more. Have a good one.